Hi, Muyiwa. Thank you so much for joining us on our Business Leaders webinar live.
It's an absolute pleasure, Talani. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, amazing, amazing stuff. You've been doing amazing work with BlackCopper. I followed the journey from day one till now, and it's just been, mind blowing how much you've achieved in such a short period of time. Like, big ups to
Well,
you, kudos to you and the team.
thank you. I mean, I think it's a lot more about the team, to be honest. I'm just an errand guy, so they just tell me, "Oh, we need this, get it," and
That's what every CEO says. That's what every CEO says. Oh, I'm just a vessel in the hand of the creator. But meanwhile, you're the one you're the one calling all the shots and making all the big bucks.
well, yeah. Again, it's the heart of responsibility, right? You wear
Yeah.
it, and everything else that comes with it, whether good or bad. To be honest.
Okay, great stuff. Amazing stuff that you've done with Black Opera so far.
Thank you
Um,
so.
my first question is actually about the name. I really like the name. I'm gonna say because as someone who's I always have different business ideas. One of my biggest problems is naming a new business. Like, what are we going to name this idea that I've had now? How are we gonna, progress? How'd you come up with the name? It's such a cool name. Black Copper makes so much sense.
Thanks. So typically, right, I remember very well when we were starting and then we were researching names. My usual inclination is towards like Latin. I tend to, look for Latin names, look for
Wow.
Latin things. I do that a lot, right? And in some of the research, um, I was also looking at the space and the existing businesses. And then I took a leaf from one of the competitors and I started researching elements. And I'm like, okay, yeah, copper. Copper is essentially a nutrient that is required by every plant and every animal. Every living thing needs copper.
Okay.
And black represents strength, right? So we think of ourselves as we think of finance as copper to say every business requires finance to grow,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then we now think of ourselves as bringing financial strength to your business. So that's essentially how we came about black copper, right?
Wow.
And yeah, and the in-house joke is I'm black and my co-founder is copper. Bam, that. So
That's a
yeah,
good one. That's a good one. That's a good
yeah.
one. Well done.
Thank
So tell us a bit about, Muyiwa Faulkner. I'll give you a bit of background. Muyiwa is one of the coolest people to know in Lagos. Like, if you're a Lagos big boy, if you're living on the island in Lagos, he's one of those guys that, they're at the coolest parties. If the party is a dead party, you will never catch me over there. Like, he has social life on point, fitness on point, business on point, like all around a beautiful family, beautiful wife, beautiful baby. So tell us a bit about Muiwa and why you're so on point.
I don't know. I don't see it as being on point. I just see it as me trying to enjoy my journey. I always say to people that you need to appreciate where you are, irrespective of where you're trying to go. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about don't have a destination mentality. If you have a destination mentality, you would always be unhappy. Right? You need to appreciate where you are, understand it, enjoy it, right? Because it's not always going to be there. So for me, the real work is in the journey. It's saying, you know what? I need to enjoy my life. I need to live my life. You only have one chance at it. You have just one shot, right? Make the
Mm-hmm.
most with as very little issues as you can. I try to live at peace with everyone. It's impossible to be liked by everyone, and to be honest, I don't really care much for being liked by anyone. I just try to be me, and I understand that I'm not gonna be palatable to everyone. Not everyone is gonna like my vibe. Not everyone be on my wavelength, and that's fine. And I appreciate them for who they are, and I appreciate them for what they also bring to the society and to the ecosystem. So for me, it's really more about, hey, this is just me. I like to call myself a bush boy. I grew up in Ijebu. I went
Really?
to
I had no idea.
Yeah, I went to all my school in Ijebu, nursery school, primary school, secondary school, university. I went to Labisiana Banjo Uni. I read physics. My father was a farmer. My mom is a retired teacher. I mean, my mom's a retired agricultural science teacher. Can you imagine? My dad
Wow.
was a farmer. Yeah. So I grew up on a farm, right? So we had poultry,
Oh,
pig, all of that. Grew up on a farm. I used to be very, very, go to the stream to fetch water, go to the stream to play, hunt for animals in the bush. That was me growing up. We did all of that. Yeah,
wow. That's a very interesting childhood. I don't really hear a lot of that in
yeah,
Nigeria. Full stop.
yeah. Childhood was fun for me. It was a lot of fun, right?
I
And
imagine.
yeah, from there on, I'm the last child from a polygamous house, and my parents didn't want me to go to school outside Ogun State because they wanted to see me often. So I had to go home every weekend. First choice uni was Ife, and second choice was Unilag. Of course, I'm not going to get Unilag because it was second choice, but I wanted Ife. But my dad said, "Well, sorry, you're not going to Ife. You're going to go to Osu, and I want to see you every weekend." And I was very young. I got into uni at 15. So my dad was always like, "I need to see you every weekend. If you don't come every weekend, you don't get your stipend for that weekend or for that week."
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how they managed being able to, because we're training a child at that level, at that is you need to quickly pick things in their habits, in the way they're moving, or in the things that they're doing. And I guess that going home every weekend really helps them to be able to see where whenever I'm swaying or they're like, yo, 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 better come
Yeah,
back. No.
be able to guide you. That's very important.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
So would you say that your parents, being so nurturing, helped your entrepreneurial journey?
um I would say a bit of yes and no. My dad he was an entrepreneur by the time I was born, but he actually used to work for the government. He used to work for the Ministry of Agriculture. He was a director before he retired, and then started his own farm. He was the company guy. My dad always believes that go to school, study hard, get a good job, and rise through the ranks, right? Do what you're supposed to do. But eventually, of course, he started his own practice, and then he saw things differently. My mom was a teacher as well, so sort of company woman as well in her own right. But for me, it was more around being an entrepreneur. It wasn't like I planned or designed it, to be honest. It was just that I got to a point in my life where I needed to see certain changes. And I realized that to see these changes, I'm going to need to do something. It's going to have to start from me. It's not going to be, I can't wish it. And I
Hmm.
think from me being pro Nigerian, um, I'm pro Nigeria and a full Nigerian to the core. I believe strongly in Nigeria. It's one of the reasons why I haven't jackpot like everybody else.
No shade.
No, no shade. Not to say that I have whatever plans. It's not like I'm gonna go anywhere. I'm always gonna be here. But it was always from the point of the fact that you look at Nigeria and you're like, we can be more than we are right now, right? And you
Wow.
look at what are the things that we need to do to be more than we are right now. Two of those things are a healthy credit system and a vibrant small business segment. So we started out BlackCopper to say, okay, you know what? We want to solve these two problems with one solution, right? To say, how can we continue to improve access to credit and help small businesses grow? That's really why we started BlackCopper. And that's why the vision of the company is that we want to enable nation building one business at a time, right? Yes,
Wow.
make money, we will. But more importantly, we need to see Nigeria become the Nigeria of our dreams. And the only way to do it is by growing small businesses. Small businesses represent around 70% of our workforce. They represent around 50% of our GDP. It's important. It's extremely important that we make small businesses grow. We figure out everything that we need to do to make small businesses grow. And that's where we sit at BlackCopper. So we like to think of ourselves as a credit-led digital bank for nano businesses, solopreneurs, and freelancers. We're very
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir when it comes to small businesses. I personally believe that small businesses can make the change that Africa as a continental economy is looking for with I mean they're looking for the solutions with multinationals and big corporates, but the solutions lie with the small business. I feel like small business, I believe, no, I feel, to be honest. And the data is there. There's data to prove it that small businesses can drive the entire economy of Africa, not just even Nigeria as a whole. And if you're helping a small business, you're literally helping a village.
Mm.
Because I mean, if you look around you, let's not look at the trendy cool small businesses on Instagram. If you look around you to the malam with a kiosk on your
Correct.
street, that's a
Correct.
small business, and he's probably doing really good numbers. Max, maybe he's doing probably maybe 100K, 200,000 naira a month.
Correct.
That guy is funding his village. I mean,
Yep.
he's in Lagos, he's
Yep.
selling provisions on the street in Lagos, and you're looking at him like, he's just a malam. I mean, no shade, there'll be no derogatory terms here, but
Mhm.
he's funding his village back home. He's sending money to feed people, and he's using that
Correct.
money to educate his children, because he's seeing things
Absolutely.
around him in the city that
Absolutely.
they need to
That's
do back home as well. So small
how.
businesses are the lifeline of the economy, and honestly, the government is not doing enough. I mean, coming from me as a small business consultant, startup consultant, the government
Yeah.
is not doing 10% of what they should be doing to help small businesses grow. So,
Correct.
I'm super excited for businesses like yours that are, being the catalyst of change, literally, for small
Yeah.
businesses in Nigeria. And I think it's amazing work. It's very hard work. Nobody wants to do it. But, we're grateful for people like you
We've
and,
rolled up.
the
We've
team
rolled
at
up.
BlackCopper.
We've rolled up
Sorry?
our. I said we have rolled up
Yeah.
to it, and I think that to buttress what you've said, everyone who lives in Lagos and who lives, particularly if you live on the island, I always say to people, you're living in a bubble. You're not seeing the real Nigeria. You're not.
Nigeria.
Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, that's not Nigeria. Go outside these three states and maybe Ibadan. Go outside these four places. That's Nigeria. In most other states in Nigeria, you have one of three jobs. You're working directly with the government, either in the state service or in the federal civil service, or you're a trader, you're a small business owner, or you're a transporter, right? Those are like the three main things you would find in every other state that you go to. So people who are working for the local government, they're teachers, they're this, they're that, all working for government. Or they have small shops. They have a small shop in a market, trader, fisher, farmer, all of that, small businesses. Or they have transport businesses. They have a bike, or they have a ramshackle or a tricycle, whatever you call it. And then those are the three main things you find. And those guys are the real Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people.
Absolutely.
We need to figure out how to increase their production from, if you're a farmer, for example, and you produce 5 tubers of yam to feed your family, we need to increase that from 5 to 20, increase it from 20 to 50, 50 to 100. And that's when Nigeria begins to grow.
Wow, that's amazing. So I completely agree with you, because I'm a Lagosian. I was born and raised in Lagos. My primary school was in my estates. I grew up in Bagada. My primary school was in my estate. My secondary school was in Bagada. I went to Unilag, which was literally um
Well,
driving 20
drive.
minutes from my house. So I lived in the same area all my life, and I never really had a taste of the real Nigeria until in my adulthood, when I went to Edo State for business, and I went to Onisha, and I saw, oh my god, this is what people are doing out here. And it was amazing, but at the same time it was scary, because in Lagos we live a completely different life than what everybody else outside Lagos lives. And
Yeah,
I completely agree with you, when you said that we need to help develop the real Nigeria.
correct.
So my next question is, how is BlackCopper doing that? Like, are you guys working outside of Lagos, or do you have like a focus
Yes.
outside of the big cities?
We're a digital bank, so because we're digital, we're able to work with everyone from across Nigeria. We have customers all spread out around Nigeria, right? And what we try to do is first, so when you talk to small businesses and you say, "What's your biggest challenge?" They'll tell you access to finance. So you're like, "Okay, if I take access to finance and I solve it for you, what else?" They'll say, "Well, I'm trying to." Learn how to manage my books. I'm trying to learn how to sell on Instagram. I'm trying to learn how to register my business. So what we're now figuring out is ways by which we can automate their processes, we can help them improve their business and grow their business. That is also not financial, like business advisory. So we're also doing like webinars, we're doing trainings. We're going to be having physical events every quarter, starting with this last quarter of the year, where we'd invite these people, would invite people to come and train them and teach them on different things, because you can tell that there is a knowledge gap, right? In the
Yes.
way the way they approach their business, in their operations, there's a knowledge gap that we can improve. So, for example, we have a number of people who are traders, where prior to offering them our POS terminals, let's say we used to offer them loans and we're offering them small loans like 20K, 30K, 50K. But these are traders who do around 400K a week in cash. But because those transactions are not digitized, it's difficult for us to get access to that data to offer them better loans. So we started
Mm.
giving them terminals, right? So we give POS terminals to these people. When we give them a POS terminal, what we find is you now start seeing that the transaction that used to be 80% cash has now become 40-50% digital. So we now see more
Wow.
data. We can now, in turn, the person that we used to give 50,000 to, we can now offer 200. We can now offer 300, right? We can now give them better loans. We can give them better tenure. You can say, okay, you can give you a loan for 3 months. You can give you a loan for 6 months, because we have more data. So what we're trying to do is working with clusters, market clusters across the country, to be able to
Wow.
these guys, train them, offer them business process automation, offer them digital payments and things that can improve their business. It's a long walk. It's a marathon, right? We're only just scratching the surface. We're really really just starting. So it's still a long way for us to go.
Amazing, amazing stuff. That sounds like a lot of work. But how were you able to validate the business idea before you started? Like, no, not like before you started, like before you
Yeah,
launched the business. How did you validate this business idea before you
great,
got into it fully?
great question. So I have four cardinal points that I use to review business ideas when I have. One is there a functional need for what you're trying to do? Functional need being, does it solve a problem, right? And yes, it does solve a problem. Access to working capital, for one, access to be able to improve businesses, for two, and ability to empower people to eventually grow Nigeria, as the third. Is there an emotional need, right? Which
Mm.
means, is it a vitamin or is it a painkiller? So
Mm.
solving are you solving a problem that doesn't really pain? So it's like, oh well, so you know the way people are with vitamins. If I miss it today, it's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to use it. But painkillers, you need it for the pain to go away,
Yep.
right? So is it a painkiller? It's an absolute painkiller, because there is pain of being able to grow businesses because of lack of access to capital. In fact, 50% of small businesses fail within their first 12 months because of lack of access to capital, right?
Mm.
So it's now the third question that I ask myself is it a $1 billion industry? Right? Yes, it is, because there are 43 million nano businesses in Nigeria. 43
Wow.
million. Yeah,
Wow.
43 million. So if I offer,
Question: how do you qualify a nano business? Sorry to cut you off, but how do you
I
qualify a nano business?
get it all the time. Nano businesses are businesses that have zero employees. So it's just the owner that is running it, and he has average annual turnover of about 500K or less than 500,000 every year. So you have a lot of really really small businesses, right? These guys, their average transaction tickets with us, the average loan sizes are around 30,000 naira.
Wow.
Yeah, so
And they
these are,
need that money to survive.
and they need that money, because imagine, so what typically happens is, so imagine this person is a pure water seller, right?
Yeah.
We met BlackCopper, their entire inventory was 10K. So they have to take 10K, buy pure water, resell, and then gain the money and then buy another one. So they meet BlackCopper, they get a loan, they get a 20K loan, for example, right? Or a 30K loan, and increase their inventory from 10K to 30K. So they take that 30K, they buy more pure water, they sell, repay their loan, take another one, which will now be higher, maybe 35K, 40K. They take that next one, they buy again, increase their inventory, and that's how they keep increasing their business. That's essentially what we're doing, right? So third one being, is it a $1 billion market? Yes, it's a $1 billion market. And then the fourth one is, okay, now it skipped me. Yes.
So the first one was functional need, the second one was emotional need, the third was billion-dollar industry.
$1 billion industry. And the fourth one is, can you build it with magic? Can you build it such that to use it will feel like, right? Can you do it in a way that it is seamless, it is easy, it is fast? That's what we've done. With BlackCopper
Wow.
today, you get access to working capital from 10,000 naira all the way to 1 million in less than 5 minutes, right? Yeah, in less than 5 minutes,
Wow.
start and
That's
finish.
interesting. That is amazing work.
Yeah,
How did you grow? Like, obviously, it wasn't 1 million wasn't available from day one.
no, it
So
wasn't.
how did you go about validating the idea? Like, do people? I mean, obviously, clearly through these
Hmm.
funnels or filters, people
Hmm.
definitely want the idea. Like, if you've
For
passed through
sure.
this four requirements, so
Hmm.
the idea is it's a massive need. And yes, you can build it with magic. Your platform looks amazing. I've been on there a few times and it just
Hmm.
looks so beautiful. And so yeah, I completely agree with you. But how do you go from zero to a million literally? Because I have some recollection of when you started. It was you
Hmm.
and a small team, and now when I go to your social media, I see a lot of people that I've never seen before. So how do you go from
So
validating the business idea to a million literally?
yeah, we have right now we have about, I think we have around 42 people. Before the end of September,
Wow.
before the end of October, we will be like 45. Probably before the end of the year, we'll be 48 or 50. So typically, right, what typically needs to happen is I tell people, when you figured out an idea that you want to expand on, that you want to work on, you don't go all the way in. Nobody tests the water with their 2 feet. You go with 1 foot first. So you do a pilot. You start small. You look for a group of people that are trusted, that you can get good feedback from, to try out what you're doing, right? So
Mm.
let's assume you've done your feasibility report, right? You've found out that, okay, yeah, this thing works. It's a pain. People want it. It's a big market. It's doable. I can build it with magic, right? So you've now gone, you've done a business plan, right? So you do a business plan and say, okay, what are the 9 blocks that I need to be able to build this business? I'm talking key activities, key resources, key partnerships, channels, customer segmentation, customer relationships, cost structure, revenue structure, and value proposition, right? You build out all of those things within your business plan, right? And then you figured it out. This is how much money I need to start. Then you go and start you do a pilot, right? Now you're moving from hypothesis to practical, right? You're going
Yeah.
from live. You now say, because what you would always realize is between moving from that test phase to the live phase, everything that is in your hypothesis, everything you documented will probably fail, right? Fail
That's
probably.
the reality of it. That's the
Yeah.
reality of it, honestly.
So, which is why you need to do it in a small place where you can control it, right?
Hmm.
So you do a controlled pilot, you test everything out, everything that can fail will fail, right? You go back, you do it again, right? And you get it right with that small set of people, right? Before you then expand it. And even when you do expand it, I assure you that it will still fail.
Wow.
I assure you, it's part of the game. I think first one of the first things that happened to us when we launched BlackCopper was where everything we do is cloud based. So our servers were on AWS, but we had one instance on AWS. And for some weird reason, I think 2 weeks after we launched, AWS went down in the region that our server was. It was somewhere in, I think it was somewhere
Wow.
in Latin America. It went down. So our app wasn't working after like 2 weeks of launch. It wasn't working for like 2 days. So what we had to,
Wow.
yeah,
Did
and
you
that's
sleep?
how did you see it? Ah, the beat just running health.
Oh my god. I think we lost Muyiwa for his network.
Yeah, sorry,
We
can you
lost
guys
you
hear
for a second.
me? Yeah,
You probably had a call coming in.
yeah, I had a call coming on my mobile. So no sleep. You're trying to see what are our options. What can we do? Should we set up Azure? Should we move to Google Cloud? So what we eventually had to do was, yeah, AWS is still one of the best. It's still one of the easiest for us to work with. So what we had to do was
Yeah.
create a second instance of AWS in a different region. So we had another one in a different region, such that we know that at least these two regions cannot go down at the same time, right? We eventually
Yes.
still did Azure. We still did Azure after that, so that we have three instances. That okay, let's say the whole of AWS goes down, you have a
At
separate
least you have
instance
Azure as backup.
as backup, right?
Yes.
And those are the things that would,
Redundancy.
right? Those are the things that will test you, that will test everything that you've learned, everything that you think you know, everything that you've researched, everything that you've documented. And then you get to the street and you're like, whoa, we're dead. Like we gotta do it. And if you're looking at credit in Nigeria, it's even tougher, right? Even
Can
tougher. You're
imagine.
failed data, you're looking at fraudulent data, you're looking at semi-literate customers, um, you're looking at uncollaborative partners. So it's a gamut of all sorts of things, right? But if you're slow and steady,
Hmm.
what it allows you to do, it allows you to be able to make some mistakes, learn, and come back. I like to tell people that when you're going up the ladder of success, when you're going up when you're going up the wall of success, it's best you use a staircase other than an elevator, right?
Hmm.
Happens is when you fall on the staircase, you typically will fall back to the last that step you took, or
The
last
last
two,
step it took, yes.
yeah, or last two steps. But if you use an elevator, when the elevator is going to come down, it goes to the ground floor. It doesn't stop until it gets to the ground floor. Right? So just take the staircase, take the pain, go gradually. Don't rush. Don't rush. Go gradually, learn everything. And
That's
I feel
some
like,
Ijebu wisdom right there.
yeah, learn everything that you need to learn. And the way life works, if you haven't learned it, you will keep making that mistake until you learn what you're supposed to learn at that stage of that business.
True.
It's typically how it
True.
works. You will just keep it until you figure it out, until you learn. You're like, oh, okay, this is what I should have learned from this point. And again, enjoy the journey. It's so
Enjoy the
important.
journey. It's so important.
It's
Yeah.
so important. It's so important.
I agree. So aside the four pronged rules, the
Mm-hmm,
functional need, the emotional need, the billion-dollar industry, the magical building technique,
mm-hmm,
and then aside obviously doing your feasibility report, developing your business plan, and having a solid business model, and obviously taking things slow. What would you
mm-hmm,
say was one thing outside of this all this process you've gone through? What would you say
mm-hmm.
was one thing that you had to realize as an entrepreneur that really helped your business, launch successfully, outside of all the things you've mentioned?
I would say mentorship. Um,
Interesting.
mentorship, because trust me, there's nothing you want to do that has never been done before, or that
Okay.
someone has tried to do, or that someone hasn't done a version of, or that someone hasn't done a variant or something like it. It's important that you have people who have walked your journey before to help you so you don't make their mistakes, right? They also keep you accountable. They help you to be
Yep.
able to do the right things at the right time. They help you to be able to, and they also give you access, right? They help you open doors. There are people that you can call and say, "Oh, I'm stuck here. I have this problem. What do you guys think?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, think you should do this. And that's why for a small company like ourselves, people are always surprised when I say, "Oh, we have a board of directors." They're like, "Oh, you have a board of directors already?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do have a board of,"
Amazing.
because I was intentional about it. We have a board, we have an advisory committee as well. We want, because we hold ourselves to very high standards, and we're not building for today, we're building for the future. So if you think about that as well, so when you're building as well, think about, what are you really building for? Are you building a company you want to sell? Are you building a
Hmm.
company because it seems like it's the fancy thing, everyone's trying to be an entrepreneur, so you too are trying to be an entrepreneur? And to be honest, not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur, to be honest. Not everyone. In fact, not everyone can be an entrepreneur, because the world
It's a
doesn't work
hard
like,
truth.
the entrepreneur has to recruit some people. It's how life works, right? And some people are excellent. And it doesn't mean that they're excellent at doing a 9 to 5. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
that
they're excellent operators and doesn't take
exactly
anything away from you.
take anything away from you. It doesn't mean you're not going to be a billionaire. Sheryl Sandberg is a billionaire. She was CEO of Facebook.
She
Nobody
has never been. She had never founded a company. And she's a billionaire
is a billionaire.
just based on being on the right team,
I
and
swear.
that's actually goals for some people.
That's Satya. There's Satya Nadella as well, CEO of Microsoft. Same,
CEO of Microsoft, yes.
right? So you need to think about it. It's not because, oh, everyone's trying to be an entrepreneur. It's cool to be an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. Are you wired to be an entrepreneur? Right?
Hmm.
Are you able to take on the pressure from everybody else and not pass it back to everybody else? Because sometimes you have to be like a boiler room or a boiler. You're taking it in. Everyone brings it to you. Everyone, customers, employees, partners, board, investors, everybody's bringing it to you. You have to take it in and you can't return it back. You have to take it in, you have to distill it. You have to be able to look at fires and say, okay, all these fires are burning. Which fire is going to destroy this? Let me focus on that one first and leave everything else. This small fire, okay, you can still leave it, manage it for now, right? Those critical decisions, it doesn't take anything away from you. So people need to think like that. You need to understand that. And those kind of things that they're also not things that, I also don't think anyone is born with it. I don't think I don't believe
Hmm.
in, I'm not a,
So entrepreneurs are not born; they are made.
I think talent is overrated, right? But I think that you can work smart. I think that you can put in time. I think that you can set your mind to be the best at something and focus on that particular thing and be the absolute best at it, irrespective of what anyone thinks. Not because you're talented, no. But if you have the right data and you get the right experience to support you, you will make better decisions with that data that you have. That's how I see it.
That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing, I must say. So how do you just a sidebar here? How do you as an entrepreneur when you're in your firefighting mode, how do you keep it together? Like how do you not break down? Because I have seen a lot of entrepreneurs burn out and actually lose it and break. Like entrepreneurship is something that it breaks people. Nobody is too strong to be broken,
Yeah.
honestly.
It
Everyone
is.
goes through it. Everyone goes through burnouts.
Yeah.
I think even Bill Gates spoke about it, that he has to take an entire week off work completely every year to be
Mm-hmm.
able to decompress and
Yeah.
come back refreshed.
Yeah.
And for entrepreneurs, sometimes it's very hard to take a holiday because
Yeah.
it's your
I've,
baby. You have to keep the machine running.
I've never taken a
What is
holiday that
it?
I
You haven't taken a holiday that you're not working.
never, not in my career. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I'm
I
always
mean,
working.
to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you and say same here. It's actually really hard to completely detach. So I
Yeah,
might be doing like really maybe just one or two meetings a day. But I'll say I'm on holiday, but I'm still taking meetings. But I'll say I'm
exactly.
on holiday. So
Exactly.
it's really hard to get out of that firefighting mode. So what do you do as an entrepreneur? Because that's something that is very vital. As much as it's important to understand launching your startup,
For
what
sure.
do eh, what
One,
do you do as an entrepreneur that is always firefighting, which is the
uh,
honest truth?
I think the first thing is understanding that it's not personal. It's not about you. It's about the
Hmm.
right. The
Hmm.
customer is mad at you as a person, right? The investor is not mad at you, except you just made rookie errors that yeah, I mean like errors that obviously it was you, right? But typically usually not about you. So you need to take yourself individually out of the picture and say, okay, it's not about me, it's about this thing that we're working on, right?
Hmm.
Secondly, I don't believe in balance with respect to work and life. I believe in integration, right? Because if you say balance, there are 5 working days and there are 2 weekends. It's not balanced. It can never be balanced, right? But you have to learn to integrate, right? You have to learn to
Hmm.
integrate, being able to say that, oh, I value my time seriously and I allocate them accordingly, right? One of which is take your physical health very important. Your physical health is what guarantees that you would be strong enough to even face the fires, right? So go to the gym if you have to, read a book, take courses. You're continuously developing your physical, mental, social, physiological, metaphysical health and life. You're essentially continuously developing those things because the man that you were on the day that you started your business is not the man that you will be 2 months into that business.
Hmm.
It's not. And you have to be ready for that new man that is going to emerge. And you have to equip yourself, right, to handle what is going to come with that new requirement of running that business. I said to people, one of the biggest problems that a lot of large corporates have, is like when you first start, I'm sorry, startups have, when you first start, you're sharing titles to everybody, right? You now get to a place where the company has become so big, you've given somebody title of chief information officer or chief financial officer or chief business officer, and you realize that this person doesn't have the required skill to play at this level. It now becomes a problem. That's when you now see some startups, they will have chief business officer and then chief business officer global, or chief business officer Bugwaye, or chief business
Africa.
officer Africa. Is because they were just dashing titles, it didn't make anything to them, right? But
Yeah.
so you need to prepare for these things. These fires will come, right? So ensure that your physical and mental health is in a good place, right? And it's in a
Yes.
good with exercise, with rest. You need to be serious and regimented with your exercise and your rest. You need to be regimented. You need to be intentional and be like, you know what? Take for example, except there's an emergency, I don't open my computers on Saturday. I will respond on my phone. I can chat on my phone. I can do Slack on my phone. I can review a few documents on my phone. I can even sign on my phone. But that I will open my computer on a Saturday, there has to be an emergency. My
Hmm.
weeks Sunday all the way till Friday. But Saturday,
Yep.
I don't. Right, and you need to have those type of things. It's not like you just want to unplug a little. You also want to make sure business is able to run without you. If something happens to you today, your business needs to continue. You need to think about it from that point. It's not because you're not great at what you do. It's not because somebody's trying to steal your business from you. No, it's because continuity is important. Continuity is what makes you long-term thinking and long-term focused. Is what makes
Yep.
people interested in investing in you. Is that okay? The way you have built your business, even if to you, there's continuity. Somebody else can take it up from you. Everybody else knows, they know what to do if something happens, and that's the difference. And those are the things. So it's like when you if you worked in like if you've worked in like really large corporates, you'll realize that people hate processes, people hate all the bureaucracy, people hate all these things. But when you start building your own startup, you will realize that it's those processes that can help you scale. If you don't do them, you're never going to become a big company. It's not going to work because you can't review everybody's work. You can't monitor
Mm-hmm.
everyone. You need to put in
Yep.
structure that allow those things work. It's those structures that you hated when you were working in those companies that you will now have to implement. It's so funny how that works in life, right? You're just like, oh,
I honestly have to agree because I hear it every time, and
mhm,
I'm very glad that you said it. I honestly think that it's your background in working in big corporates that is giving you this insights that it needs to be done, because a lot of people that work for startups prefer startups because anything goes. Like, you want to make a decision as a for example, a supervisor.
mhm,
You're a supervisor, you're not a manager, and you need to
mhm,
make a decision. And because you're working in a startup, you just make that decision by yourself. And in a startup, when they review it, it's fine. Do you understand? They say, oh, that's what you needed to do. But in a
mhm.
big corporate, you will wait for your manager. Oh. Like, you will wait to get
It's a
permission to do the thing you want to do. Process is
it's
process, you must follow it.
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
because the process was designed to protect the organization, to
Hmm.
ensure that every point in time, the very best decision is made. Not because one person felt like it, but because
Yep.
that's the next best thing to do. That's what the process does. That's what the process does. But I mean, I guess it's part of the evolution of businesses. You would eventually get there if you
Yeah,
if you
eventually.
if you think about it. If you want your business to become big, is the only way to go. You have to have culture that can scale. You have to have processes that can scale.
Yep. I completely agree with that. But my I won't say pray. Well, to be honest, a prayer, because a lot of startups have that problem with structure and process. But my wish to you as a startup, if you're watching this, is that you put the processes and the structure in place before it becomes a necessity, like before you need to. Because when you now start getting to the point that we need to put process in place,
Yep.
it means that there's already fire on the mountain. Honestly, it means that the building is already on fire, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
So
So
you're trying
for
to
that,
put out the fire by putting in the structures.
yeah, for that I say, may you not need it,
Hmm.
but when you need it, may you have it.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. May you not need it,
Okay, so
but
but when you need it, you have it in Jesus'
yeah,
name.
yeah.
Yeah. So my next question is, from idea to launch, what were the milestones or the goals that you hit, that or that you set for yourself, the goals that you achieved along the way that
Mhm.
made you realize that you were on the right path?
Um, to be honest, I never really thought that we were on the right path. up, you know, up on maybe 6 months in, I didn't really think. I wasn't sure whether we were on the right path or not. I wasn't sure whether our approach was right or wrong until we were like 6 months
Hmm.
in, right? And that's because, again, these things are not. There are no one size fits all. There are no silver
Hmm.
bullets things, right? You essentially need to. It's on a case by case basis. It varies from business to business. However, always listen to your inner man, right? When you're going through building your building phase, you're going through. So it's
Hmm.
like, also surround yourself with the right people. Listen to your inner man. Surround yourself with the right people. I think one of the best decisions that I made when we were starting BlackCopper was the person I decided I was going to start BlackCopper with, right? Because that can be such a huge problem. Trust me, that problem, it can never be understated or underemphasized. It can never
Yep,
be
I
underemphasized.
agree.
Because if you choose the wrong co-founders or the wrong investors or the wrong business partners, they will frustrate your life. You would end up leaving the business and say, okay, you know what? Take.
Have it.
Let me know. So it's important you surround yourself
Wow.
with people. It's important you also. I'm very intuitive with people, and with I say that I don't think that as an entrepreneur you need to have very high IQs. I'm not a very smart person, but I know how
I
to relate.
disagree.
My
I
my
disagree with you. I'm going to just stop you right there. There are different types of intelligence. Do you understand? And I can
yeah.
say categorically, because I'm a business developer. My background is business development, and I know
Mhm.
that you're a business developer as well, and your background is business development. So you're a salesman. So that means
Absolutely.
you have interpersonal intelligence, like you're good with people.
Yeah.
Like you just need 5 minutes with the person, you speak to the person, and you understand the person. Like not
Correct.
understand 100%, but you have an idea of who this person is, and you can gauge how you want to sell to the
Correct.
person.
So
That's the type
so
of intelligence you have, and I think that's a
that's
weapon when
yeah,
you're an entrepreneur.
that's social quotient, right? So there's
That's social
social,
project brilliant.
there's emotional quotient, there's intelligence quotient, and there's adversity quotient, right?
Hmm.
Two that you need as an entrepreneur: social quotient and adversity quotient. Because yeah, he would try you, he would test you. You need is where that adversity quotient is, where your grit, your staying power, your
Hmm.
determination, your ability to take in all the pressure and not pass it on. That's where it comes in, right? Your adversity quotient. You'll be able to go through all the bad times. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. I mean, like even my sometimes my co-founder is like, Muyiwa, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, well, even I don't know. I just know that I do it. It's like second nature to me. Okay, this is the problem, box. This is the problem, box. This is the problem, box. Okay, all the boxes. Which is the biggest box? Okay, this one. Let's deal with it. Right? When
Hmm.
that's done, sorted, let's go. And that's because you need to understand that you have to learn to be present. I don't believe in multitasking. I believe
Hmm.
in deep. You can't do multiple things at the same time. No. Focus on one. Do it. Get it done. Deep before wide. Right? It's like when I'm talking to
Yep.
investors and they're like, oh, so what are expansion plans for you guys? I'm like, yeah, we have expansion plans. But right now, the number one plan is take the biggest market share in Nigeria first, deep first. When you go deep, then you can go wide. When you go wide, go deep, you can disappear quick because you're spreading yourself too thin. You're spreading yourself too thin. But when you go deep first, you've become a mainstay, right? First in the ground. Like, okay, when you think about credit-led or digital banks in Nigeria, when you think about small businesses in Nigeria, before you mention anybody else, you must mention BlackCopper. When that is done, I'll say, okay, yes, this assignment for Nigeria, we're almost there. Let's go to Ghana. Let's go to Uganda. Let's go to Mexico. But if we go now, oh yeah, we think we've done something, and we head up. So let's go to Ghana. Before you know what's up, nobody would remember you here, and nobody would even know you there because you're in a worse position there, right? There are other players who are
I
in that
agree.
you're going to be trying to compete with. So you need to go deep first, right, before you go wide. So for me, social quotient, very, very key. So those things are the things that help you know that, okay, I'm picking the right people because that's important.
Yeah.
Picking the right people on the journey, and then you're following your instincts. You're being able to say, okay, because those things usually can be the difference makers. As much as everyone talks about data and they're like, yeah, in God we trust, but everybody that comes to Muyiwa must come with data. Yes. However, if you interpret that data wrongly, you're in trouble. So your interpretation, data is
Wow.
not data by itself. Yeah, it's not just data by itself. You need to be able to interpret that data. And data interpretation is based on you,
Yes, on the person that is reading the data.
your knowledge, your experience, your exposure, your education, your environment. That's how you make decisions. Those things are the things that determine how you pick what you pick. You can't pick what you don't know because you didn't even know it exists. So even if they show you the data, you will still not know what to do. Which comes back to the point of you have to continue to develop yourself. You have to binge on podcasts. You have to read. If you can't read, listen to the books. If you're going for a walk, be listening to a book. If you're going to a drive, listen to a book. Listen to podcasts. Listen to people who've done it before. Listen to people who've done it in bigger markets. Nigeria is 200 million people, but it's nothing compared to what you have in the US. So, and there are people who have done it and they've gotten it right, right? It took them time, but you can learn from their mistakes faster. You can pick up things from them and come and duplicate here, right? So, but if you don't have that knowledge, you won't know. Like if you're just looking at numbers, you're like, okay, what do these numbers mean? What does return on equity mean? What does cash adequacy ratio mean? What does liquidity ratio mean? If they show you the numbers, it won't mean nothing to you except you understand what it is.
Yep.
It's a lifelong school, lifelong, particularly entrepreneurship, lifelong school. You keep learning, and you have to, and people appreciate when they are being led by knowledge, not by fear, not by money, not by emotions, but by knowledge, because people know that this person knows what they're saying. This person,
I agree.
so
I
they
absolutely agree.
automatically they want to follow. Automatically, oh, okay, don't worry, he knows more than me. And there's nothing wrong with also ensuring that you surround yourself with people who know more than you, because that's the only way you get better. If you're the if
Yep.
you're the most knowledgeable person, the smartest person in your company is going to die very soon. Because on the day that you fall
I
sick, no one
agree.
will make smart decisions because you're not there.
Yep.
Right? You shouldn't surround yourself with yes men, people who just want to okay, boss,
Mm-hmm.
this. It's not going to
Your
go
team
anywhere.
members should challenge you and
Have to.
bring up their own ideas as well.
Absolutely. And you have to be open to it. I remember that some of the startups that I've worked in, I remember that some of the reasons why I walked away from some startups is only the founder had great ideas. If the idea is coming from somebody else, it's a bad idea.
Mm-mm.
That's a problem.
That's a recipe for disaster because how are you going to grow if you're the smartest person in the room? You're never going to grow.
Exactly. And that's why today companies nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happens. When you think you're the next best thing after sliced breast, you are not. If um,
Oh my
right? If like when you live in an area and you're the person that has the most money in that area, you're a target. You need to
god.
leave, you need to go and move to the area where you are the smallest so you can grow. It's true.
I agree. I completely agree.
You need to continue to challenge yourself. There's no have arrived moment. If somebody like Jeff Bezos is still trying to go to space, like why is he doing all that?
Exactly. Still trying to do more.
Still trying to do more
I
because
don't know why. No, I don't think anybody can understand that man, to be honest, because I feel like at some point, even with the most successful people, they relax. They,
no,
there's
Dangote. No,
the hunger like, sort of dissipates. What?
it doesn't. Look at Dangote. It doesn't dissipate. The hunger is
I
still
want
there.
I want to know that these are outliers that nobody's like them. Not everyone is built that way to always be chasing into your 50s.
It's not
Holy shit.
more. It's different. It's not so that chasing at that level is not the chasing at
It's
this
not the
level.
same type of chasing.
No,
Yes, I understood.
it's not the same type of chasing. Now you're looking at Nigeria as a Dangote and you're like, how many jobs am I going to create in this country? How many countries can we duplicate this in? How can
Hmm.
we grow this thing? It's no longer chasing. It's no longer. It's more. I think it's more about
He's operating on a different level.
Yeah, I think it's more about immortality. Like, okay, how do I want to be remembered? Do I want to
That's the fascinating way. So I have a quick question for you to answer. What challenges did you encounter during the launch process? Just one challenge. I think you've been very, thank you for this coming to the webinar. You've been very detailed, you've been very honest. I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
So what challenges did you encounter during the launch process and how did you overcome it?
Um, I think one would definitely be getting the right people. Was the first
Hmm.
one, and the reason was we did have some developers at the very first launch. I mean, they did pretty okay work, and then they started, you know, hiking their prices, and it became an issue.
Hmm.
You guys take a chill pill. I mean, you didn't design the space rockets.
Oh my god. But designers, I say designer developers are like they are very, how do I say, they're in high demand now, like
They're,
globally, now that
they're
pandemic
prima,
now.
they're prima donnas right now. It's unbelievable. But hey, they're in the employee market, not the employers market. They determine their own
Hmm.
days, particularly when you find really good ones. So we did struggle at some point with that. I think the one other thing that I can vividly remember um, was we also struggled with fraud, with a bit of fraud when we first started.
I was
Uh,
gonna ask that.
yeah, we did struggle with fraud when we first started because so what a lot of people do not realize is when you're starting out in as a fintech in Nigeria, particularly when you're doing something that is app based, there are hackers out there who are not
Hmm.
Nigerians work with Nigerians to essentially hack your app. Yeah. And I always say to everyone that trust me, if you're launching a financial app in Nigeria today, you will get hacked in less than 60 days. You will get hacked. It's a sure bet. So they're gonna try. They at least they're gonna
Jesus.
yeah. At least they're gonna try. So in the first couple of weeks, we did struggle with those. And but hey, thanks to my
So
co-founder.
how did you make it work?
So it's just essentially being able to first pick it early, second bells and whistles. So we have a lot of bells and whistles around all our processes. There are things
Hmm.
that when you do it, I'm getting a notification. You're doing it from Zamfara, but I will get a notification like, this email is suspicious. Who's this person? I'll just go to my computer. I'll see. Okay. See, how many loans does he take in? How many transfers does he normally do? How many bills does he normally pay? You have to be able to identify patterns and non-patterns.
Hmm.
Those are the things that can save you. You need to know that every hour we do 10 transactions. On the day that you do 15, you need to question it. You need to know, why are we doing 15? What did we do? Are we doing ads? Did anybody go and say something? Because if you don't know, for all you care, those 5 transactions might be fraud. Or you just think,
Hmm.
oh, maybe it's finally working, or it's my mommy's prayers. Okay, just leave it like that.
My
You
days.
wake up tomorrow morning, so
Wow.
you need to do a lot of monitoring. You need to do a lot of monitoring. You need to focus. You need to build bells, whistles everywhere. You don't need to hinder the process, but you need to know when it's happening.
Hmm.
I get like quarterly 3 hour reports every day. So every day, every 3 hours, I get like 6 reports that drop about 6 different things in the business. Every day, every 3 hours, I will get it. So when I see the reports, I know what I should expect. So when it's too
When
low, I'm
something is
like,
off, you
yeah,
can
I'm like,
flag it.
so can we check it? Something in this process is not working. If it's too high, I'm like, why is it high? What did you people do? Is there a blast? Did we do something? Are we doing any ad? Is there a partnership that just launched? You need to be able to do all of
Hmm.
those things. So those are the things that we then implemented. And thanks to my co-founder who's been like he's my hidden backbone. Like, is he's the one that's really helped to
That's
manage.
amazing that you have a good co-founder. I think that's very important. A lot of entrepreneurs, founders miss
Yeah,
it from the get-go, and when they have issues, there's a full-on blowout, and it affects the company and the
yeah,
people that they're serving, which is it doesn't
yeah,
benefit anyone.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
So my last question, I want to talk about TechStars. How you got in. I mean, I people have had some startups in Nigeria have had successes with getting into accelerators, but I know that it's still difficult. And I mean,
Mhm.
it looks like oh, a lot of people are getting in, but then if 50 startups out of 50,000 are getting in, then it doesn't look that great now, does it?
Yeah, it's still.
So how was the process? How was the journey?
Mm,
What experience did it what new insight did you gain from the experience, and
yes.
what insight can you share for startups that are looking to achieve this as well?
Great question. So our TechStars journey started with a friend of mine who was working with she was working with a company that was in TechStars at the time. So I went for a meeting and she was in one of the calls. She was in one of the TechStars calls and I was listening in. So for me, I never really wanted to go to an accelerator. I never really wanted to do an accelerator. I'm like, what are they teaching them? I beg, we sabi, I'm nothing. Say, a lie. But I was listening in on that. Not bad. So after the call, and I asked her, I'm like, how did you guys get in? He was like, well, yeah, we applied. And then she said, I think you guys should do it. You would really learn a lot. It would be good for you, the exposure, the network. I said, okay, all right. She said, okay, I'll make a recommendation. So she made a recommendation. Luckily, at the time she made the recommendation, they had finished accepting applications, actually,
Wow.
yeah, for that particular cohort. So, but when they saw our numbers, they saw the team, they're like, okay, these guys, let's talk to them. So we had our first call. Even me, I was like, okay, first call, second call. By the third call, so they just told us, oh, well, that they're telling us that we're getting in, even though we were the last to apply, but we're the first to
Wow.
get in that cohort.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, okay, this is something. And all through the process, one thing that stood out was the fact that these guys were totally selfless in how they were helping us, right? They would essentially work with you to improve your numbers, improve your understanding of business and technology, particularly if you're a technology business.
Mm.
And they'd expose you to a big network. This is a network where you can get top CEOs in the world from with like 2 phone calls or 3 phone calls, where the proverbial everybody is 7 phone calls away.
Because the
This
way your own becomes three.
or 2, 3. Like, oh, if I say, like I've spoken to CEOs of large corporates. They came to our class to mentor, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I want you to be my lead mentor. And they'll be like, okay, well, I don't have that much time, but I'll do it. They'll help you go through your deck. They'll tell you from their experience. You'll learn a lot from them. So there's that.
Wow.
And I think Texas is a network that gives. So we like to say that Texas is give first. So everyone
Hmm.
within the is always looking for an opportunity to give first. They're always looking at an opportunity to introduce you to someone. They're looking at an opportunity to help you get better. What are you trying to get at? In fact, it's the type of group that if you want to travel, just wear your Texas shirts. You never know who you're gonna run into.
You're going to run into. So it's
Yeah,
like Harvard.
I swear, it's essentially like that. It's essentially
Wow, that's so cool.
it's been really helpful through our evolution because now it's like a badge. It's a badge that you wear. Everyone's, oh yeah, oh we're a Texas company or you're a YC company. There's another one.
Mm.
Oh yeah, Sequoia Capital also has an accelerator. Or you're a Sequoia company. In
Yes,
fact,
yes, I've heard of sequoias.
yeah, we're doing another accelerator now. That starts
Wow.
Yeah, it's starting in October. It's a growth accelerator. It's called Expert Dojo. We're doing Expert Dojo as well.
Well,
And
I've heard of it.
yeah, we're doing
Yeah,
Expert Dojo.
but that's for like when you're trying to scale.
Yes, because that's where the
Okay.
business is. We're like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's do it. They came on to us. We met in Canada when we went for TechStars, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna make you unicorns from Africa. I'm like, yo, take a chill pill with your unicorn, man. Like, relax. Well,
I don't you want to be
oh, well.
unicorn. Oh my god, Muyiwa and his calls. It's not easy to talk to CEO. His phone just keeps ringing. But if you have any questions, now is the time to drop it because we're pretty much at the end of the session.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, where were we before your call came in, Mr. CEO? It's not easy. See if your phone is ringing,
I was,
ringing.
I was about joining Expert Dojo and what it means for the business. It's a growth accelerator. They're also going to work with
Mm,
you to grow your numbers to say, okay, we see that you already have market product and product market fit, right? We see
mm,
that you're in numbers, but how can we help you to do those numbers better or get to the milestones faster than you will? It's almost like petrol and diesel, right? If you use diesel, diesel burns slower. If you use petrol, petrol burns faster, right? But petrol tends to allow you move faster than diesel does, right? So, or do you want to turn it to nitro? You want to turn it to gas? Like, can we give you
mm.
nitro? It's essentially helping you figure those things out. And these are guys that they come with a wealth of experience from different companies, different organizations. That um, rounded knowledge base, you won't have it by yourself. Yes, you do. You
Yep.
might know stuff. You might even be a genius, but you're only a genius in your market. You're only a genius with your numbers. You're not a genius based on their own market or based on their own
Mm.
standard, based on what's happening. So you have the opportunity to learn from that as well, and they can help you grow your business with an opportunity to invest as well.
That is so good. That's the most important part. The opportunity to invest.
For sure.
Yeah. So, Muiwa, thank you so much for joining this webinar. I really appreciate all the insights. In fact, as you were talking, I was writing out all the points because my notes is very long right now because you made a lot of solid points that a lot of entrepreneurs miss out when they are launching their startups. So, just to wrap up, what advice do you have for startups that just trying to launch? What do you want them
Mm.
to what do you want to say to them that they should focus on that they might be missing out on?
Um, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, don't follow the money. The money
Hmm.
will come.
Mm,
Solve problem.
problems.
Value.
Solve problems.
Find value, people will be willing to pay you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Someone
friend,
says build with the end in mind.
he's one of my buddies from uni, one of my closest friends. That's the
Oh,
way to
that's
think.
amazing.
Build with the end in mind. That's the way to always think about it. Because don't think like the Nigerian mentality. You want to drive Ferrari when you just graduated from uni. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't, right? It doesn't work like that. Delayed gratification. Calm down. Just put your mind in the game. Forget everything else. The applause will come.
Yep.
Forget the applause. You won't look for it. They will come and find you with the applause. They will come and find you that this guy we hear say now on they do. Take take your accolades, right? Forget all of that. Just find value. Find a problem. Solve a problem. A problem that is big enough to make an
Yep.
impact. And then you would have found something. That's what I'll say.
That's amazing. That's so insightful. Thank you so much, Muiwa, for your time and all the amazing advice that you've shared here today. And I just have to say that I see great things in the future for BlackCopper, and the sky is your limit. The sky is your springboard. That's your starting point.
Man, no, that
No worries. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.
all right. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, that was Muiwa. He shared a lot of really, really good insights on this live webinar. So we've pretty much come to the end um of the webinar, just a bit about Halisi Consult. So Halisi Consult is a business consulting company. We develop business plans, financial models, pitch decks for startups and small businesses that are looking to pitch to investors. We help with investor readiness. We also help pitching startups to investors as well. If you need one of those services or growth marketing service as well, we also do that. We help startups with their marketing, sales strategy, to reach their desired target audience and customers. So yes, thank you so much for joining the webinar and listening to this point. See you next time. Bye.